Hi everyone, welcome to my Autodesk screencast. My name is Zahn Ta and I work for Repro Products in Smyrna, Georgia. I'm an Autodesk certified instructor and hold many certifications in multiple Autodesk products for the AEC industry. I hope you enjoy my screencast. If you'd like to see more of my screencasts, please search for VAR 2015, that's VAR 2015, or my name. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up after you watch it. In today's screencast, we'll be finishing our series of What's New in Revit 2016 for Structure. This is the 6th video in the series, and here we go. I have Revit 2016 up, I have a Revit structure model up, and there are just 3 more enhancements I want to cover. The first one is called Rebar Rounding up and down to the nearest. So what that means is that if I go to the Structure tab, go to Reinforcement, I can go to Reinforcement Settings window. In here, I can go to Rounding, and in this rounding dialog box, we can adjust things a little bit more precisely now. For example, first of all, if it's checked, you can use the reinforcement rounding. If it's unchecked, you don't use it. Since it is checked, you have rounding method for bar length, for bar segment length, and for fabric sheet dimensions. For example, here under rounding method for bar length, we have choices to say, give me the nearest, or round up, or round down. So if the value is at a certain input, then you can actually change it to force it to go to the nearest number. And the rounding can be at 1 millimeter, 5 millimeter, so on and so forth. You can also force it to round up by that increment or force it to round down by that increment. And the same thing applies when we talk about bar segment length and fabric sheet dimensions as well. So in here, they've adjusted it so you can force it to be rounding up or down, or the default, which was nearest. The second structural enhancement that they've made is placing rebar parallel to the face of an object. What I mean by this is, let's go over here and take a look at this object. I'm going to switch this to a hidden line mode, and you can see very, very faintly these rebars that are in place. If I edit the rebar, let's switch this over to realistic so we can see it a little easier. If we select that rebar, you'll notice that by default it's set to single, and we can switch it to different methods, layout methods. If I want to go ahead and put more rebar in there, I'll select it and I'll put in rebar. So let's do this off of another view. Let's head over to level 1. And you can see the rebar a little easier here. I'll do this to this one here. I'll select this and I'll click rebar. And we can put rebar shape in. We can put it parallel to the work pane, parallel to the cover, and perpendicular to the cover. If I say perpendicular to the cover or parallel to the cover, I can make adjustments. I can also say nearest cover reinforcement. And so, for example, we can also say far cover reinforcement as well. And if we take a look at the one that's already been created, we'll see that it is set to a no shape schedule mark 1 and any rounding overrides as well, single layout. So let's go ahead and do it here. Rebar. We'll do zoom in here so you can see it. Parallel. And you can see that by default, when you have it against an object and you move it this way, after a certain point it switches and goes to the next closest plane of the object and makes it parallel to that. But what if I need to make that diagonal rebar continue to go diagonal all the way down here? What I can do is I can hold the shift key down and it highlights that edge in red. So now if I move my mouse all the way down, I can continue to keep it parallel to that edge. Likewise, if I'm over here and I'm doing a vertical rebar parallel to the right edge, the minute I move it over too far, it'll switch and go parallel to the other edge. But if I hold the shift key down, I can go all the way across and I can just click to place as many as that I want. If I If I don't select the shift key, it forces it to only jump, obviously, as you can see here. So they've made that kind of adjustment to give a little bit more control. And then lastly, there is a projected load for area loads. And if we head over to our 3D view, and I want to put an area load, let's put an area load on this. Select this, we'll head over to analysis. We'll put in loads, and we'll put a hosted area load. Now, when we're working with this, there is projected load feature, and you have orient to local host coordinate system or to project. If I click to project, it'll allow me to click and put a check mark under projected load. And when I do this, I can select and work with that projected load. Let's do it where we don't do the project, we do local host coordinate system. And we'll do an area load. And let's say we do a rectangle like this. And you'll see that the load case could be any one of the types that we work with. I'm going to leave it as orient to project and hit the green check mark and let it finish it. I'm going to switch and turn on the analytical model so you can see that. I'm going to go over to this one here and I'm going to do an area load. Let's do it this way. Let's do load. Let's do an area load, and we will make this projected with a projected load, and we will draw the rectangle and hit the green check mark and modify. If I select this one, I can see that it's projected, but I can switch it to work plane. And if I select this one, I can leave it projected and have that projected load and specify the force that I want, say -4, and you can see the adjustment. So that's projected load for area loads. In essence, it's basically acting as a linear load when we switch it to projected. Okay, and that's it. That's the last tidbits of what's new in Revit 2016 for structure. Thank you very much for watching my screencast, and please don't forget to give me a thumbs up.